Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Lake Norman High School. I'm Joe Cullen with Harry Nostrand of Carolina Varsity, and we're here to start a new segment for you in the pregame of the My Connection Game of the Week. This week we're at Lake Norman High School, where the Vance Cougars will come to town for homecoming to take on Lake Norman. Harry, I'm glad you came to join us.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you having me.
Carolina Varsity, a great little website for those of you that follow high school football especially. Carolina Varsity is a forum site, carolinavarsity.com. And really, you guys in Carolina Varsity, fans get on and are able to talk about their teams, the games, and all those kind of things.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You know, everyone that goes to the games, they want to be able to go there and discuss what's happening, discuss players, coaches, plays in general. And it's a pretty cool experience. Everyone gets to have a lot of fun on the site.
Yeah, the site was founded by Dale Ross. Dale, a really good guy, long-time high school sports advocate here in the Carolinas. And we really appreciate all that Dale does and you guys do.
Yeah, he really does a great job, and I enjoy working with him and for him, and I look forward to more of it.
Well, it is, and Harry's title, because that's how Dale pays him, is in letters. Yeah, you're the marketing director and director of IMECK Sports, basically, for them, right?
Essentially, yeah, and I do get a little bit of extra specifics to Mooresville High School, which I can't complain about. But it's fun so far. It's my first year doing it, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Well, it is, and that's why Harry's here with us on IMECSports.com to really become our second voice for IMECK Sports as we go over to the football schedule. We're going to go through last week's games for you, starting with Mallard Creek at Vance. Harry, this is a game everybody pretty much right now, Mallard Creek is the class of the field in the IMECK Conference.
Yeah, they're not going to run into a whole lot of competition this year in the conference, especially now they got Mooresville out of the way. They defeated Vance 55-20. It's for Mallard Creek, it's just a matter of getting to the playoffs right now healthy. You know, if they can do that, they're looking to make a lot of noise in the state playoffs.
They really are right now. Mallard Creek ranked number 1 in the state. Depends on where you look. Freeman Excellent has them at 13. Nationally, Sports Illustrated has them in the mid-30s. So there's lots of different places. Scout.com, I think, has got them at 22 or 23. Mm-hmm. So lots of different places have them ranked nationally, and really behind the running of Jayla Duncan.
Yes, Jayla Duncan is an absolute beast. When he gets the ball, his quickness just allows him just to get upfield, and most of the time you're looking at the back of his jersey.
He really is a great player. A lot of speed, a lot of quickness. Great vision's the thing I've noticed about Duncan.
Yes, one of my favorite things about him is it's going to take more than one guy to bring him down. He's a very powerful back, and he can be utilized not only in the running game but in the passing game as well.
When you speak about the passing game, Marquise Williams moved on this year. Mm-hmm. Now they got Andrew Goodman in place there with the Mallard Creek Mavericks. Really has stepped in, and they really haven't lost a beat.
No, they really haven't. The passing game has just been excellent for Mallard Creek this year. Now, granted, they do have some very, very good receivers as well, and they're just a very, very complete team.
I tell you, the passing game's helped by having DJ Humphreys up there on the front line.
DJ Humphreys, he last year you wouldn't have quite expected him to have the kind of year he had this year, but he is also a beast on the team. Very big guy.
He really is. Last week's score, Mallard Creek 55, Vance 20. Cougars, after last year upsetting Mallard Creek in the playoffs, everybody had high expectations for the Cougars. This year, kind of dropped off.
Yeah, and they've run into a lot of problems so far this year. A lot of it stems from the fact they lost their coach at the beginning of the season. He is still on the sidelines, but just that whole disruption just couldn't have been good for the team. They lost a lot of players, and the numbers are down. It's not a good situation at Vance right now.
It's really not. The only key starter they brought back was Lorenz Bryant, the running back, which he is a really phenomenal athlete.
Exceptionally talented, and the fact that he plays both ways, he's also a linebacker, just testament to his talent. I mean, he's a very big, tough kid, and he's only a sophomore this year, so he's got a very bright future ahead of him.
Got a long way to go. Hope he stays around for that Vance program because they really could use him in that program. The next game, Hopewell at Lake Norman. The Wildcats, we happen to be here right now. The Mooresville-Lake Norman soccer game getting ready to start behind us, so if you see the action going on, Wildcats, Blue Devils, doesn't matter what sport, always a big matchup. But right now we're at Lake Norman High School. Last week, tough matchup against Hopewell.
Yeah, and you know what? Going into this game, there's a lot of unpredictability because both teams not having great years so far. looking at it on paper, you would think they'd match up pretty well, but that just wasn't the case.
Well, Hopewell, first-year coach Dave Johnson, really trying to install the spread offense down there, has kind of in the last few weeks went back to more traditional Hopewell football. Denzel Heath, talk about phenomenal athletes. This is a kid, been the running back there since he was a freshman. Split times with carries as a freshman, really has been the backbone of that running attack. And now he's back at it as he's as Hopewell's kind of transitioned from the spread back to a little bit more power football.
And in this one, they did run the ball quite a bit and made the Wildcats defense look a little bit spotty there. But credit that to the Hopewell offense in the running game.
Well, it really is. And between Heath and learning the air attack, that Wildcat defense, they are young. They're a pretty disciplined bunch, but a lot of holes in that Wildcat defense.
Yeah, and they will certainly look to get better though as time goes on.
Well, they will, and I think as they grow and mature, because you've got a lot of young kids over there, and really, as Coach tries to grow that team, I think you'll see a lot more success out of Lake Norman in the years to come.
And I totally agree. Yes.
So that score was 50-26. We talked about Denzel Heath, Jaquez Williams, the wide receiver, and then Trey John Sifford, who is their quarterback. Sifford is actually coming into his own with that spread.
Yeah, it's actually the offense is starting to come into quite a flow here, and they're looking to make a little run here the last part of IMECK play.
Well, I think they really got a chance. And then Lake Norman, Dylan Miller had another big game. He's kind of been the Lake Norman offense this year.
He has, and if he keeps rolling, they should be able to tack on a couple more conference wins and hopefully make a run towards the playoffs.
Well, it is. And then our third game last week was Huff at North Meck. That's becoming kind of a rivalry game. As most people are aware, when Huff was open last year, a lot of their student body came out of North Meck.
Yeah, and that right there, perfect ingredients for a rivalry. These kids know each other, have grown up with each other, and I'm sure they love hitting each other just as much.
No, and that's the thing. You talk to the coaches. I know the tennis coach was talking to her this afternoon as North Meck was at Mooresville for tennis. I was over there talking to Coach Taylor a little bit, and 6 of her 8 returning players ended up moving to Huff. So, that's a lot of people off the tennis team. The baseball team last year, the entire JV from North Meck moved to Huff. So, you had basically their whole JV program become Huff's varsity program. So, you do have that. When you look at Huff as a football program, though, you have to talk about Jackson Campbell.
Outstanding athlete. Outstanding. Fun to watch, too. I've seen a couple plays, and he's just an outstanding athlete.
Well, I think the thing that makes Campbell such an outstanding athlete is the fact that they do platoon their running backs. And he's not the only attack they have, but he's been the one that has stood out and really shown, to be the big play guy when they need it here in the last 2 weeks. Then you got to look at Christian Walker, too. They're big 30-pound left guard. He's a monster of a man.
Big kid. You see him on tape; he's towering over most everybody in that.
And he's only a junior, so that doesn't speak. Our sophomore, only a sophomore, so that doesn't speak well for the IMECK competition next year.
Yeah, he's going to put a world of hurt on a lot of those opponents.
But North Meck, you can't talk about them without talking about Terrence Clyburn.
Really, their main offensive weapon. He could be anywhere on the field, and he's looking to score. Unfortunately for North Meck, like I said, he is their one weapon. If he's not getting in the flow of the game and not being able to put points on the board, nobody really is for North Meck.
Yeah, we talked about DJ Humphreys earlier, but you can't talk about North Meck without talking about Josh DePoli either. They're big offensive tackle and basically defensive lineman specialist, another monster.
Yeah, big kid. I haven't had a whole lot of chance to see him play. I've heard great things about him, but big kids on the line can only mean good things.
Well, and he's being looked at by several of the top schools in the country. Transferred in this year out of upstate Pennsylvania. Really been a great addition to that North Meck program. And then finally, last week's My Connection game of the week, Mooresville's homecoming as they hosted West Charlotte. 48-28, final score Mooresville's favor. Tell us your thoughts on this game.
Well, Mooresville came out. I feel like they needed a statement win. They beat Vance the week before 33-0. And that was a very good win for the team. They played well from the beginning of the game to the end of the game. And this was a good statement because West Charlotte and Mooresville were jockeying for really second place in the conference. So, in the end, it's a key win for Mooresville. They played well. They were up 28-0. West Charlotte kind of clawed its way back into the game and found themselves down 28-21 late in the game. And I'm pretty sure everyone on the Mooresville side of the stadium was pretty scared for a long while because West Charlotte did come back from 21 down to defeat North Meck in overtime the week before. So a very good win for Mooresville overall.
Yeah, well, being there in the stadium, you did kind of that last touchdown was scored. You kind of heard the air come out of the home side, but all in all, Mooresville able to come back, pull it off. Really behind great play, of Debo Black. Had a great game. He and the running back have really had just phenomenal games.
Yeah, the past few weeks have they've really come together. Debo actually had over 150 yards rushing with a touchdown, and D. Tomlin, the running back, ended up with 5 touchdowns in the game. Not much more you can say about that. They're putting points up on the board. The past few weeks have been really good for the Mooresville offense, and what can you say about the defense? They're phenomenal. They are fast, they hit hard, and they're not wanting to let anybody put points up on them.
Yeah, and they've had a few games where they've done that, but you can't talk about this game without talking about T.J. Mixon for West Charlotte.
If you're a Mooresville fan, you know that they have a fast quarterback in Deontay Black. T.J. Mixon redefines fast. Very, very gifted athlete. I was actually really impressed with him. He is also really West Charlotte's main weapon, but with his speed, he can really make anything happen on the field.
He can, and you saw that a lot. West Charlotte, really younger ball club, have lost a few players, so they've had to really kind of rebuild their program. Their numbers are down in what they have been traditionally, so really been a lot of work for them. When we come back, we'll be back with this week's setup and our My Connection Game of the Week. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the My Connection pregame show right here. I'm Joe Cullen, Harry Nostrand for Carolina Varsity. Harry, let's look at this week's matchups. First, let's start with 3-4 Huff taking on West Charlotte, 3-4 as well. Both schools 2-1 in the IMECK.
This should be a very interesting game. After seeing West Charlotte last week, you learn a little bit about each team every week you see them, and I felt like they actually had a lot of potential. Huff is playing very good for a second-year school. Very good defense, and if they're able to execute well, I see them being able to defeat West Charlotte, but it's going to be a close battle. It's going to be a very hard-fought battle by both teams.
It really is going to be a hard-fought battle. Both 2-1. Really, if Huff's able to play their game, win this, you end up basically with a 3-way tie right now for third place in the conference, provided Mooresville does their job and takes care of their win this week. You have those 3 schools tied, and then it becomes kind of a free-for-all from that point on for those 3.
Yeah, the remainder of the conference play is going to be interesting. Unfortunately for most of those teams, they still have to face Mallard Creek, and that's where things are going to be interesting. If they handle business against the teams they should beat, it's going to be a very, very interesting scenario heading into the playoffs.
It really is. The next game is Mooresville at Hopewell. Again, another big game for Hopewell. They really need to play well against Mooresville.
Going to this game, Hopewell is definitely overmatched. Mooresville starting to get on a little roll here. They've scored quite a bit of points in the last few games. Defense is playing very well. Hopewell does have a very talented running back, though, as we talked about, and their defense is going to need to play exceptionally well to contain Deontay Black and D. Tomlin. And if Mooresville's defense does its job as it has been, I don't see Mooresville having a problem with this game, but by no means it's not a gimme.
Yeah, it's not, especially since they're playing in Thunder Valley. That home crowd. Hopewell does draw a good home crowd. They are loud, have a lot of fun there. So it should be a really good game. Like I said, he's got to have a good performance. The big key is their defense. If their defense can stand up and hold Mooresville under about 35 points, they really have a chance. Mooresville scores more than 35 points. Hopewell's going to have a tough time.
Yeah, it really will be tough for them if that gets to that point. And interesting, too, both teams are coming in on 2-game winning streaks, so we'll see what happens.
They are. It's going to be interesting. Then, North Meck 3-4, 0-3 in the conference. They get the joy of traveling to Mallard Creek.
Well, what can you say about this one? North Meck's just not having a very good year, unfortunately. Clyburn's going to have about 500 yards of offense in order to keep North Meck in it. Mallard Creek, Andrew Goodman and Jayla Duncan combined with DJ Humphreys, they're just far and about the best team around. So it's not a good matchup for North Meck, and Mallard Creek really should have no problem with this one.
They really shouldn't. Yeah, I mean, you hate to, as commentators in the IMECK, we look at, especially for me, I look at the sport and you want to see these kids do good. Mm-hmm. I had the opportunity to go, sit down with Coach Bradley a couple of weeks ago when we did the North Meck Lake Norman game. Mm-hmm. Was able to talk with him about the athletes that he has on the ball club and how hard they're working. And that he's got some good kids that are really mm-hmm. trying hard. And then to know that they're going into a Mallard Creek that's averaging a little over 50 points a game, mm-hmm. Is a little disheartening. So hopefully those kids can keep their head up and have a respectable game at Mallard Creek.
Yeah, and I think for both teams, essentially the main goal is just to get everyone out of that game healthy and not have any injuries. And I wouldn't anticipate Mallard Creek to run the score by any means. They're going to want to keep their players healthy, so I wouldn't anticipate seeing the starters in there much in the second half.
Well, and much to Coach Palmieri's credit, Mallard Creek hasn't, even though they've scored a lot of points, they haven't run the score up.
No, not at all.
They just score points because they are that good. Most of the time, by halftime, their starters are out for the second half. They're just scoring a lot of points this year, have a very potent attack, and are really a good ball club. So you can't take anything away from them. Look forward to seeing them in the playoffs as they get to going. And then finally, our fourth IMECK Conference game, the one that we're doing this Friday for My Connections Game of the Week. Lake Norman's homecoming as they host 1-6 Vance.
Going to be an interesting game as well. Going to be a lot of energy in the stadium that night, and I think Lake Norman's going to have the edge. Based on what I said before, Vance numbers are really down. They have a real threat at running back, but if any defensive front's able to contain him just a little bit, it doesn't bode well for Vance.
It really doesn't. Vance comes in 1-6 overall. Like I said, they're 0-3 in the IMECK. Lake Norman, though, 2-5 overall, also 0-3. So one of them at least going to get their first conference win Friday night.
That's right. And like I said, at the beginning looking at this game, I'm going to have to give that edge to Lake Norman. Like I said, it's homecoming. And Vance's numbers being down is just not a very good situation for Vance. But both teams have equal opportunity to win this game. I don't think it's out of reach by either team.
Yeah, really. I mean, I think it is an opportunity for Vance and Lake Norman. I do think Lake Norman has the potential to come out of here with a W, but the thing is Vance, even though they're down some athletes, they still have a lot of great skill position players playing on that ball club this year.
And like a normal Vance team is, they're very fast. So that's going to be key in their play the rest of the way through the season.
Well, Harry, we appreciate you joining us this week here on the IMECSports.com pregame show for the My Connection Game of the Week. For Harry Nostrand, I'm Joe Cullen. Stay tuned. Kickoff right after this.